Masters of Arcane and Elemental Magic, mages are one of the most extraordinary classes in World of Warcraft. Hello everyone, this is Outlaw, and today we will have a deep dive on mages for Season of Discovery. Whether you are a new player or a seasonal veteran, this class shines on every aspect of the game, with their crowd control, AoE dominance, burst damage, and even utility. From here, we will cover the runes added to mages, talents up until the level 25, and even a new specialization. For the runes, have in mind that we have 12 different options, but can only pick 3, one on each slot, one for chest, hands, and legs. Starting off the chest first, we have Burnout, increases spell critical strike by 15%, and your non-periodical abilities have a additional cost by 1%. This has a high potential. I can see this being used a lot during the leveling or even a late game. Onto Enlightenment, you deal 10% more damage while above 70% mana, and when you are below 30%, you gain 10% mana regeneration. This is a solid rune with a flat damage and mana regen. It's one of those passives that you just forget about it. Onto Fingers of Frost now, when you apply Chill, you have a 15% chance to gain an effect that causes your next 2 spells to cast as if the target is frozen. This talent combined with Shatter, the ones that give you more crit chance on frozen targets, can make your frostbolts crit a lot. For the last one on chest here, we have Regeneration. This is the healing one, remember. Leaves a hot on your target for 3 seconds and apply Temporal Beacon on them. What Temporal does is a spell that works as a storage or a mark, and it converts 40% of all the arcane damage that you cause into healing on those players that have this mark or spell. This is an amazing idea by Blizzard. The only downside that I can see with this is the fact that our fire and frost ability become useless when you're playing this spec. Jumping onto their hand runes, we have Arcane Blast. Blast your target, dealing arcane damage, and each time you cast, increases the healing and the damage of all your arcane spells by 15%, and the mana cost of Arcane Blast is increased by 175, stacking up to 4 and lasts 6 seconds or until another ability is cast. Mages should smile with this one. Best ability for damage output ever, especially for hard burst opening. Another addition to this ability is that they made it where it increases your healing as well. So this will be our spender to heal other people when they have Temporal Beacon. Up next we have Ice Lance, an instant ability that deals damage to targets, and if the target is frozen, the damage is triple. Onto Living Bomb now, deals damage over 12 seconds, and once the effect is over, the target explodes, dealing AoE damage onto all enemies around them. Well, this is just another insane ability for mages. Living Bomb plus Blizzard will be fun to see those damage meters skyrocketing when the mages are AoEing them down. Onto the last hand rune now, we have Rewind Time. Your targets that have Temporal Beacon instantly heal all the damage that they took over the last 5 seconds. Over the lag runes now, with the last 4 runes, we have Arcane Surge. Unleashes your mana into a surge of energy, dealing damage, and it is increased by 300% based on how much mana used. After that, your mana regeneration will be active and increase to 300% for 8 seconds. This one is basically a huge burst for damage. We happy. Now, onto the best rune in my opinion, Ice Veins. Increases your spell casting by 20% for 20 seconds. This is basically a bloodlust for the class. This ability was added in TBC, and it was the way to go for every spec. What I'm curious to see is if Cold Snap will reset the cooldown of Ice Veins like TBC and Wrath, and if that's the case, that talent or this rune will be a must for every spec. And now we have Living Flame. Summons a flame that moves forward towards your target, leaving a trail of fire, dealing damage every second for 20 seconds. Another huge AoE ability for mages. I guess Blizzard just doubled down at this point. And last but not least, we have Mass Regeneration. Heals all target party members for 3 seconds and applies Temporal Beacon. This works exactly like regeneration regeneration, as we mentioned earlier, but as an AoE version of it in order to spread those temporal beacon as fast as possible. And those were all the 12 runes that we have. Now let's jump onto talents and see the best combination between them. Starting off with the Arcane tree at level 25, I added 5 points on Arcane Focus, 5 on Arcane Concentration, up a bit for the 2 points on Arcane Subtlety, then 3 points on Arcane Explosion for the AoE. And with the last point, I got Arcane Meditation. The primary focus on this build is getting the hit chance and the mana reduction through clear casting, having in mind that it will be spamming Arcane Blast over and over. Onto the rune side, I got Enlightenment for the chest to get more damage, ramp, and mana. Hence, we are going with Arcane Blast as mentioned, and for the legs, Ice Veins all the way 100%. With fire, I made 2 different builds, one more focus on raw damage with Ignite and having score to help your group and yourself, having 5 points on improved Fireball, 3 on improved Fire Blast, 5 on Ignite, 2 points on Incinerate, and 1 point on Scorch. The second build, I opt for a hit build with 5 on Fireball, 3 over the Frost Tree on Elemental Precision, 3 on Fire Blast, now 2 on Flamethrowing, but you can put them on Ignite if you want. It's just a matter of preference on this one. 2 points on Incinerate, and finishing off with 1 point on Arcane Subtlety all the way over to the Arcane tree. For the rune on this one, both builds are using the same. Burnout for more crit chance, but will consume more mana. In case you're having mana problems, feel free to swap to Enlightenment. For gloves, Living Bomb to help the AoE, and then Ice Events on the legs as our DPS cooldown. For our Frost tree, I also have 2 builds. The first one will be the leveling one with 3 points on Elemental Precision for the hit, 2 points on Frostbow, 5 on Ice Shards, 3 on Piercing Ice, and then going all the way up, spending those last 3 to get the full completion of the Frostbow talent. I try to prioritize the raw damage and a little bit of hit, combining with Enlightenment on chest, hands with Ice Lance, and the last legs with Ice Veins as always. Onto our second build is a more endgame focus for Frost, almost as the same as the leveling, but instead of adding those 3 points on Frostbow, I went for 1 point on Cold Snap, then all the way to the Arcane tree with the 2 points on Arcane Subtlety. This was a hit focus as well, but with the intention of getting the Cold Snap in case the interaction between Ice Veins and Cold Snap works. For our new spec here, the Healer Mage, we don't know anything about on how the healing output will be, but you can have a rough idea on how it's going to work. Spreading your healing ability through regeneration, rapid regeneration, and mass regeneration in order to give all party members temporal beacon, and spamming Arcane Blast or missiles to convert the damage onto healing. On this tree, hit chance with Arcane Focus and Arcane Subtlety, 5 on clear casting, 3 points on Arcane Explosion, which could be really good for the AoE healing, and the last point on Arcane Meditation for the mana regen. Have in mind that the Healer Mage is a proactive healer and not a reactive one, so knowing how the fight works and how the damage will roll out will make you an excellent healer. For the runes, regeneration on the chest, of course, is our only option, hands with Arcane Blast because it's our pumper, and legs with the mass regeneration. Not many choices here. Arcane Blast is just the best DPS spells that we have, and it will give us a huge output for the healing when necessary. And this was everything that I had to cover on mages. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I will see you guys on the next one.